Alright, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Mass Review back again with another review, and today we are doing a review for The Naked Gun 2.5 The Smell of Fear. This is the sequel to the original The Naked Gun movie that came out in 1989, I think it was, or actually no, 1988 I'm pretty sure it was, and this is the sequel to that, which came out in 1991. And so since I'm watching the Naked Gun franchise now, I watched this film because it was the next installment of the franchise. I don't really need to explain this, but yeah, this is what we are reviewing today. And before I begin, let me once again give a thanks. We have gone up in the subscriber count again from 13 to 14, so once again, thank you to anyone new watching the channel. I appreciate the support, and I hope that you are enjoying the content. And with that said, let us begin, starting off with the characters. So you have Leslie Nelson as Frank Drebin. Once again, he is a great lead character, my favorite in the franchise, and he is still very entertaining to watch. He plays the character well, and he is a good lead for the franchise. You have Nordberg in this, and I did like, obviously played by O.J. Simpson. I'm not going to really, O.J. Simpson, I don't really have to elaborate further. Not the best person, really, so I'm not really going to speak on the actor too much, but Nordberg, I did enjoy Nordberg's character in this film. It felt like he had more to do, since in the last film he kind of just got shot at the beginning, and then since then, like, they did have good gags with him where he was like he was hospitalized, and so it was like people were messing with his chair and stuff, and he was getting hurt like a lot in the last film. So there were good bits with him in the last film. In this film, though, it does feel like he does like a bit more, like he has that bit with where he's under the cars and stuff, and he keeps on ending up under cars, and he's like there's during like car chases and stuff, which was good. There was also the bit where he was modifying a sniper rifle to during combat towards the end. So there were some good bits with Nordberg, so I did like his character more in this film. You have Captain Ed Hawken, and I don't really have too much to say about him. Like, he's still not really, he's just kind of there. Like, I don't really have too much to say about his character. He's fine, I guess, nothing to say. There's Jane Spencer, and this movie does feel like it focuses like a lot more on their relationship, since they do this trope though, and I don't like when they do this trope where it's like you have the main character, they end up real happy and stuff with the lead love interest. And then in the next film, for some reason, they break up for whatever reason. Sometimes it's explained, sometimes it's not explained. But then it's like you have them start over, where it's like they're no longer. I don't know. Something happens that causes them to break up, and then by the end of the movie, they're once again together once again. So I don't really like that trope, and I find it annoying. So they did it in this movie, which I didn't really care that much for. So because of that, I don't know, just Jane's character, she's not as good. I didn't like her as much in this movie as I did in the first movie, where it was just a basic love story, which it wasn't really like too interesting or anything, but at least it wasn't just that trope of like the main character breaks up with the love interest and then gets back together with them. So you have Quentin Habsburg, and he is once again similar to in the last movie. It's like last movie had I forgot his name, Vincent something, and he in the last movie was like he wasn't that. It was just the main standard villain of just like, oh, everyone thinks he's a good guy, and then secretly he's doing evil stuff, or like he's doing bad stuff. And Quentin Habsburg, he's basically the exact same thing. Like, he's just a guy that people think is good, but then secretly he's involved with these organizations that are doing bad things. So just, yeah, he's once again just kind of a villain, just there for the sake of having a villain. So nothing really to say about him. I did like Dr. Meinheimer. He is a new character that there was Dr. Meinheimer, and then there was the guy that was impersonating him, which was Earl Hacker. And well, both characters were good, I guess, but it was just, he was this scientist climate guy who was in a wheelchair, and he was the one that got kidnapped, and he was supposed to discuss the government's plan for like how they're going to go about the climate regulation or whatever it was. So that was, I liked his character. I thought it was good. You have Hector Savage, and he's not in the movie too much, but the bits that he is in are good. So I liked those. And other than that, that's really all there is to say about the characters. There's no one really else worth mentioning. So in terms of the characters, I'm gonna last movie I gave it like an 8 out of 10. I'm just gonna give this one. I'm gonna say the characters are between a 7 to a 7.5. They're between like pretty good and very good. And last review I did say that. Frank Drebin's character, he does kind of carry the cast of characters. In this one, he still probably does carry the cast of characters, because you have like Jane, she's not as interesting in the last film. Ed Hawken is still not really, the only character that really improved slightly is, I'd say, Nordberg. He's like slightly better in this one. And you do have Dr. Meinheimer, who is a good character, I'd say, but other than that, like, I didn't really care for the villain. Jane is slightly worse. I still don't care about Ed Hawken. So I'm gonna say the characters were I'll go with 7.5. I'll say very good, just not slightly worse than the last film, I'll say. So 7.5 for the characters. In terms of the plot, and I'm grouping in plot with the crime genre, because I feel like a lot of the times, I think I'm going to start doing that. I'm trying to like work out how to group certain categories together. Like, I started grouping fantasy with setting and also sci-fi with setting, because it felt like it made things easier that way. And I think I'm going to start possibly grouping in plot with crime, because like the crime aspects a lot of the times in movies, they are very intertwined with the plot. So In terms of the plot, it was probably, I'd say, like a 5 out of 10. Again, like it's not good or not bad. Pretty similar to the last movie, where it's just like you have this plot and it's just a vehicle for the comedic bits, and you don't really care about the plot itself. You're just watching it because you want to see like where the plot's going to lead and what jokes they can use, because you want to see what they do with the plot that leads to the comedic bits. Like so. Once again, I don't really care per se for the plot. In this plot, the plot is basically that you have Quentin Habsburg, who is now dating Jane Spencer because for some reason Frank Drebin broke up with her, and he's working with a bunch of like bad energy suppliers, like stuff like oil, nuclear energy. There was another one, coal and stuff that's like not good for the environment, and so they end up they kidnap Dr. Meinheimer, who is the one that is supposed to give the address to the government and basically give his advice on what should be done in terms of the energy supply of the country, I guess. And so they kidnap him, replace him with Earl Hacker, who is a doppelganger, like a lookalike of him. So, and then their plan is basically to have him endorse stuff like oil and nuclear energy and coal and stuff that's like would help them profit greatly, but however it would be very bad for the environment. So. So they end up. So the plot is basically that he gets Dr. Meinheimer gets kidnapped, and there's an explosion at the start because of Quentin, and so Frank Drebin is once again just trying to find out. He's trying to. He knows that he knows that Quentin is behind it. So once again, similar to the last film where he knew that Vincent was the bad guy, he's just like trying to prove that he is evil, and so that's basically the plot of the film. So yeah, I give it like a 5 out of 10. It's not good, it's not bad. It's just very very standard, basic for the purpose of delivering the comedic bits. So moving on to the settings, I'm going to give these settings, there's nothing really in this movie that is similar to the last film. Like there's nothing that really stands out too much. Like there's nothing that I really comes to mind. And it's slightly worse than the last film. Like at least the last film, it did have like the final set piece with the baseball stadium in the third act, which I did like a lot. However, in this film, there's nothing like that. So the most interesting area, I guess, was when the Hector Savage has a shootout with the police force, the police squad, and that area was kind of memorable. But besides that, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Not good or bad, because there's just nothing really too memorable to speak about. So. Yeah, in terms of the comedy, I'm going to go with, I didn't like the comedy as much as the last film. The last film, it felt like it had more comedic bits that I liked and remembered. However, this film still has some stuff, like when Frank meets Jane at the bar area. I think it was like a restaurant area, and then the guy playing the piano, he played Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. That song that was good. I like that. It was funny. The mariachi band bit, that was very funny. Yeah, so there were still some good bits in this movie. Definitely, you can still get some laughs from it. However, it was not as good as the last film, I felt like. So I would probably give the comedic bits. I would give it like a 7 out of 10. I would say it was pretty good, but it definitely did not feel like it compared to the last film. There was like also like Nordberg with the car and stuff, and there were some good like there's also not just like physical comedy, but there were some good like one-liners here and there. Not one-liners, but like good speaking jokes. So. Yeah, I'm just going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm just going to say it was pretty good, but definitely not as good as the last film, though. In terms of the action, I don't, there wasn't really too much action, really. I felt like maybe I should group in, like, action with comedy for, like, specific films, because in terms of this film, at least, like, the action is very much just used as a vehicle for just some more comedy, but I don't know, I wasn't sure about it, so I just ended up not doing it. So I'm just gonna say the comedy was, I'll do the same as the last film. Last film, I think I said 6.5, good. So I think I'm just gonna give, once again, a 6.5 for it. It was fine, I guess, like the shootouts and stuff, it worked for the purpose of the comedy and stuff. And so there was like a tank that was cool, I guess. So the action, it was fine, it was good, I guess. So just 6.5. In terms of the worst thing, I will say the worst thing, I'm just going to reuse the worst score again, which was both the setting and the plot got, Slash Prime got a 5, so I'm just going to reuse that as the worst thing. Yeah, just once again, the plot, it's just not really that, it's just, it's very basic, it's very standard. The purpose that you're doing it for the purpose of the, in order to get good comedic bits out of it. So in terms of the best thing though, I'm going to give it to probably just, I guess Leslie Nelson's character, just Frank Drebin. He is still a very fun character to watch. He is still very good in the role, and I am going to probably just give it to, yeah, Leslie Nelson as Frank Drebin, who I would give a 8 out of 10. I would say he's still great. He is still a very fun character to watch, and so 8 out of 10 for Frank Drebin / Leslie Nelson. I think that is good. And yeah, I figured out what I'm going to do for the for specifically comedy movies, at least movies that feel like the main emphasis is like a primarily comedy movie. Like there's some movies where it's like they have comedy is like a genre in it. However, there is like some more, it is still focused on like the plot and stuff. But movies like this, like The Naked Gun, where it's like very much primarily you're watching this for the comedy in the movie. The point of the movie is just to have comedic bits, and it's like you're not supposed to take the plot as seriously. I decided what I'm going to do is for the score, I'm going to reuse the comedy score once again. So I rated the comedy a 7, so I'm going to reuse that in the score to help average out the comedy. So it'll help get a more accurate average for the movie. So, but before I do that, any extra notes? I have the theme, the Police Squad theme is a banger. I think I'm gonna actually try to see if they have it on Spotify, because it's very catchy and I like it a lot. It is very, it's a very good theme, and I like it. It's great. Yeah, that is all the extra notes that I really had. So I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to a 6.5, which would be good, but I would probably give it like I think I would give it a bit higher. I think I would probably go, I would say I'm thinking between maybe a 7 to a 7.5. I'm thinking a 7. I think a 7 is good. I think it was pretty good. It was definitely not as good as the first movie, it felt like. However, it's still a pretty good movie. You still get some good laughs in there. You still Frank Drebin as a character is very fun to watch. And so I think solid 7, pretty good. I think that is what I would give this film. So yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. If you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, anime, video game stories, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. But with that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.